What's up, guys? Hook Sets with Ryan here. In today's video, I'm going to be doing the install on the Berleypro steering upgrade for my native watercraft Slayer Max. A few videos back, I actually did the install on the Berleypro aluminum handle, and I promised you guys I was going to do a part 2 video on the install of the Berleypro steering upgrade. So let's get into it. Alright guys, so this right here is the native watercraft steering upgrade. The plan today is to, like I said, install this, and I'm going to kind of go through the steps on how to install it on your native watercraft Slayer Max, or actually this video could actually help with the install on the Titans and the Slayers as well. We're about to get a few tools out and disassemble a few things, and we're going to get straight into it. Now the first thing we need to do is we need to remove the rudder screw that connects the top of the rudder to the bottom to the rudder. That's the first thing you need to do. You want to hold that rudder and hold it still and just slowly unscrew it. Just like that. And you got your rudder out. So after when you have the rudder off, the next thing you want to do is you want to, these two screws right here that holds the cord, you want to unscrew them just like that. I completely removed the original cord from Native Watercraft from the cap of the rudder, or the top of the rudder. You want to leave it laying just like that. Next thing you want to do is you want to remove these 4 screws to be able to take this whole plate off for your handle right here. All right, we got the screws out of the plate, so now this comes right out. Next up, you got to remove that bolt right here. Just like that. It's time to open this bag up right here. And here's all the components you're going to need to do the install. But the first thing you're going to need is the braid that they give you, because you got to attach the braid to these original cords, rudder cords. So that's the next step we're going to do. So next up, with the braid provided from Berleypro, you want to combine the braided line to the cord with 6 half hitches wrapped around the original rudder cord. Next up, okay, so I have my original rudder cord. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this rudder cord out, and this braid is going to follow straight through to the front up there, and that keeps it from, you know, doing the 6 hitches. That keeps it from sliding off and all that, and I'll be able to run my new braid right back to the rear of the rudder. Okay, so this was the end that was at the rudder. Next, you want to attach the braid that you have sticking out in the front at the handle right here, that you already pulled out the original rudder on one side. And you want to make a few loops. You want to make 6 loops around 1 knot. Well, I do 1 knot and I do 6 loops. That way nothing moves or anything, because it's on there. It's not coming off, because what you have to do is you have to take this line, this new rudder line, and you got to run it straight through the tube right there, straight to the back to the rudder. just like that. So we have our new rudder line out on this side. Next, we're going to repeat the same thing that I did on this side to this. Once again, I just do 2 knots, and then I do six loops around the rudder line. So there's our end that was at the rudder end. We made it back out there here. And at this point, I'll just, well, let's see. I'll just cut this because it ain't gonna matter anyways. There we go. So once again, new rudder cable from Berleypro. We're gonna tie a couple knots, and then I make 6 loops. That way it secures it. That way I can slide it straight through the back to the rudder. And there we go. We got the other end of the new rudder cable coming out to the rudder. Just like that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to be installing the new pulley onto the handle. Now, it's very important that when you put the new rudder cord over the pulley, you want to make sure it wraps around it on both sides, just like that, but you want to make sure it doesn't overlap. Yeah, you want to make sure it doesn't overlap. You want to make sure it completely goes around, you know, right next to each other on the pulley. Alright, so we have our new pulley on the handle. The line is wrapped around the pulley because you got to make sure you wrap around the pulley on both sides. And next we're going to install the stainless steel bolt. Alright, so we got the pulley bolted down to the handle. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pull some line to get the slack out of the rudder cable. Drop it right into place, just like that. And for now, I'm just going to put a couple of screws in here, just to hold it in place, just in case I got to do any adjustments. Next, I got the rudder cover, like the plate that you screw down into the rudder. First thing you got to do is remove these red, like, inserts right here. Alright, just like that. So the next step we have to do is we have to mount this spacer into the original rudder plate. But before we do that, I have to cut those 2 spots out on the rudder plate. That way this right here will fit flush onto the rudder plate. So let's do that. And then also I have to remove them brass inserts right there as well. Alright, so I cut off the 2 little lifted areas on the plate. That way this right here will mount flush. And what we have to do is you have to line up, you have to make sure you on this spacer right here, there are screws that go into this spacer that you have to drill out on the plate, but they're countersunk. That way the bolt is flush. Then the next step you have to do is you want to make sure you line the spacer up when you drill your holes, because you're going to have to drill 4 holes in this spacer to your rudder plate. But you're going to have to make sure you line up that hole right there that goes into one of the existing rudder plate holes, just like that. Alright, so I got my holes drilled on my plate, and I got my spacer. I got everything lined up real good. Next, we're going to be installing the stainless steel bolts that go into the spacer, into the plate. So let's do that. Alright, the next step is we got to mount this to the rudder plate. So you can see kind of where this goes. Got 4 spots, it just slides right in. There we go, just like that. So they give you 4 stainless steel washers and 4 nuts. You want to make sure you install those. Alright, so I have my spacer mounted to my rudder plate. I got I think this plate, I'm not sure the name of this plate, but it's basically the plate to adjust the rudder lines, to be able to, adjust how, tight and everything is. So, because right here, the screws right here is going to be where you would adjust it at, your rudder cords. Everything's bolted down real nice. Everything's lined up real good. Alright, so next up you have to run the 2 rudder cable, or the 2 rudder cords, into the back of that hole right there. You want to slide them out just like that. You want to make sure they line up around the pulley, just like that. Just like that, right there. They should be coming out the back just like that. Next up, you want to install your rudder, connect it to your rudder plate. Tighten that bad boy up just like that. So I installed the rudder, and then I got all my rudder lines, on my pulley, and I just wanted to give it a quick test from turning it side to side just to check everything. Next up is they give you 4 stainless steel screws that are going to mount into them brass inserts right there, and that is going to be where you adjust your rudder cable, like for how tight it is on your kayak. Alright guys, so that is what that looks like whenever you get them bolts in, or the screws in. This right here is where you're going to be adjusting your rudder cable cords. Okay, so I got this side already done right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to come around like that. Then you're going to make a loop. Go around the other one. Just like that. Need to adjust that. Just like that. So that's what you should have, just right there. So right here, you just want to pull your rudder cable line and make sure everything is kind of good and tight, but not too tight. And that way it has enough slack just to kind of turn smoothly and tighten everything up. You just want to tighten all 4 screws in to hold your rudder cable in line. That way it does not come loose. Alright, so we got our rudder cables adjusted. Everything's good and tight. What the directions say to do is you just want to leave about 6 to 8 inches of rudder cord just to be able to adjust it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut this off just right here. And then I'm just going to burn the ends. There we go. Just like that. And my plan is I'm just going to kind of twist this up and probably just tape it. And then just mount it to the plate. That way it doesn't get inside the rudder or anything like that. Alright y'all, so we got the install done. And I'm actually out here on the water today. We got everything all tuned up on the Berleypro steering upgrade. As you can see, the steering on this is completely different. Completely turns to the side. That way you'll be able to completely maneuver around like docks, rocks and stuff like that, cypress trees. But guys, check that turning radius out right there. All right, guys, well, that is the install on the Berleypro steering upgrade. I honestly believe it is a game changer. I think if you're recreational fishing, I don't think it's something you truly need, but I think when you get into like competitive fishing, like competitive kayak bass fishing, I think it's definitely something I would recommend for the native watercraft. So definitely check them out at Berleypro. Get you a Berleypro steering upgrade and get your boat fit for your next tournament, and that way you'll have on the dime turning and all that. But guys, thanks for watching. I hope this video helps you with the install and just give you an idea of what the Berleypro steering upgrade does for your boat. And if you're new to the channel, by the way, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Y'all have an awesome day.